Going to warp speed.
And we are live at warp speed, which is quite impressive for this time in the morning. Good morning. Welcome to Friday. If you are watching, there's lots of people watching already. If you are watching, as usual, please do pop a hello in the comments. I'd say so that I don't have to talk to myself, but I have people to talk to today. Very exciting. I think there's a bit of a lag, so it'll catch up. Bless it. It's struggling with all of their cameras today as well. Oh, and baby noises in the background. Give it a second and there'll be dogs barking as well shortly.
And the magpies will start again.
And the magpies, we'll throw it all in the mix. Apparently he is working on Facebook this week. Hurrah! Yay! It wasn't me. It was a problem with their software, apparently. So, yes. Oh, there we go. There's the comments coming in. A bit of a lag, I think. Good morning, Maria. Good morning, Emma. Good evening, Zephora. Good morning, Christine. Oh, yeah, look, there they all are. You were there. Good morning, Emily. Happy Friday to you too. Good morning, Nicola. Yes, we'll have a blast today. We have always shenanigans when we're together. Good morning, Claire. Yeah, it's always chaos, shenanigans. So today's subject is divination. Obviously, the three of us do read together. Good morning, David.
Okay, I was expecting David to be in a field.
Yes, so was I. By golly. Now, there's an old English saying, by golly, by Jove. Yes, Facebook is working. Hurrah. Good morning, Maria. Good morning, Camilla. Good morning. Good morning, Tina. Lots of familiar faces. Look at that. Good morning, Jane. Jane, where's the socks gone? Good morning, Angela. Good morning. So today's theme is divination. Because we do readings, the three of us together, we thought we'd talk about how we do it and what we use. Good morning, Steve. Welcome to Friday. Gosh, the end of June already, isn't it? Good morning, Kerry and Ebony. You're at PTG. Yes, sadly, we're not there this time. Have fun for us, won't you? Yes, it's going to be a hot one in that field this weekend, I think.
Bit worrying.
Yeah. Oh, no, Maria's got us on the big screen. Oh, no. I'm sure you don't need us on the big screen. That's scary. Good morning, Kerry. Terrifying us lot on the big screen. So yes, we do triad readings. Something a little bit unusual, but then we don't ever do anything normal, do we? We realised actually it was at Pagan Tribal, wasn't it? I think we all had our divination tools with us and realised that we shared a brain. Not a big surprise. And we started doing readings together and realised that we were kind of in sync with each other. And so that's what we do. So if you book a reading with us, then you get all three of us reading for you at the same time. So today we thought we would go through our methods and our tools because we all use different divination tools. So if you've got any questions about divination in general, if you've got any questions about the tools that we use, pop them in the comments and we will see where we go. Stay hydrated. Yes, definitely stay hydrated. If you're in a field in the sun, stay hydrated. And yeah, no getting drunk too early. Not good. Alcohol and hot sunshine. Not a good mix. Not a good mix. But yes, unfortunately, we won't be in the field at this time. We're going to have a chat later about where we'll go next year. We'll see. Where will the adventures take us? Kerry, it's been quite cool this time, not too hot this year. We're having lots of fun. Excellent. That's what we like to hear. Tina had the best triad reading spot on. It was. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm back to Facebook for old time's sake. Yes, the socks are back. Bones always reminds me of willow. Okay. Willow tree. Willow Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Good morning, Tony. Good morning, Tony at Ishtar Freya Handmade Creations. Fabulous creations. Do hop on over to Tony's Etsy page.
I think
Wonderful.
Maria might have been talking about the film. There's a film Willow, I
Oh,
think,
okay. Yes, yes,
but
yeah,
we'll need her to clarify.
yeah. I've been honest. I haven't seen it. Is that bad? Does that make me a really bad pagan? I've not seen it.
The
Not seen it
movie.
either, I don't
Yeah.
think.
The movie. I haven't seen it. I put my hands up to it. Labyrinth. Sin, obviously. Not Willow. Warren Davis. Yeah, that's him, isn't it? He's in that one. Right, we're getting our tea down us first
Yeah.
before we start. So we will get the words out. Wasn't there a witch that used to be in the group called Willow? We've had a couple of Willows actually within Kitchen Witch in variations.
Mm.
That's an interesting subject in itself, really, isn't it? Craft names, because we all started with our craft names when we first opened Kitchen Witch. Everyone had a craft name, and over the years we kind of reverted back to our given names for whatever reason.
Yeah. I found that people just weren't. I was just referring myself to Ness, and that's just it. People got to know me as that. Gradually, over time, I dropped the
Yeah.
craft name.
David, movie called Willow, yes. Oh, and a mini series that Disney decided to ditch. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I am familiar with the film but haven't seen it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, David. Willow, Buffy the Vampire Slayer's bestie. Yeah, now I have seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's where I recognise the name from. Jane, you can use willow twigs for divination, so it's a good name for a seeker. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, you can definitely. Well, you can use all sorts of things, can't you? Should we start? Oh, because I'll waffle forever. I'll start with my boring one because mine is boring old tarot.
Not boring. That's a fascinating deck.
Christine, only use my craft name when I do a ritual as I introduce myself to the powers as my craft name. Yes, that's what I tend to do these days, Christine. It has more of a magical connection, I think, doesn't it, when you're in ritual? So I do read the tarot, but my tarot deck is big. It's big and chunky. It started off, and it was the Alleyman's tarot, but it's actually called a magpie deck because although it is, when I bought it, it was 134 cards, I think. They're all from different decks, each card from a completely different deck. There are at least one of all of the usual 78 tarot cards. Jane, tarot's not boring. No, it's not. It's not boring. I take that back. But I've added to it as well. So I've added a few odd cards in. It has at least one of the usual 78 tarot decks in. It's got duplicates of some. There are 6 death cards of variations. And then there are some really random cards from oracle decks, from game cards, and all sorts of things. Yes, greedy magpie. Yeah. But magpie, because it's a bit eclectic and it's all kind of put together. Good afternoon, Lucky Fairy Queen. The only problem is it's really difficult to shuffle. I quite often drop big chunks of it. So that's my tarot deck. No, there isn't, Emma. I jest. I jest. David, I've been meaning to ask you, Rach, about your magpie deck. How do you use it? I mean, how do you shuffle it? Yeah, shuffling is really difficult, and I'm bad at shuffling anyway. But I tend to let's get my other camera up. So I tend to. I'm really bad at shuffling. Do not judge. I literally shuffle like this. Good morning, Debbie. And I went for have a squeaky baby. I shuffle and then wait for one to jump out, and then I will pick those cards. I tend to lay 5 cards out first. I will lay 5 cards, whichever 5 cards jump out first, and I will read those 5. I don't do the Celtic cross. I don't do past, present, future, or any layout like that. I tend to lay 5 cards out and tell the story. And I don't necessarily read them in that order either. Sometimes I move them around. So that one's jumping out. So we'll put that one there. I think for me, tarot is about telling a story, and sometimes you have to jump backwards and forwards. I don't necessarily read the first card, then the second card that comes out. But there's 2 that's come out there. So there are 6 death cards, but each death card has a slightly different meaning as well. There are also just bizarre cards. I bet none of the bizarre cards are going to come out in this one, are they? There's a bizarre one. So then I read it like that. And I might look at it and think, actually, that one needs to move a bit. That one might go there. That one might go there. So I'll sort them into the order that I feel is right. And then I will read them from there, like a story. And that's generally how I tend to read them. Sometimes I'll pull out another card if perhaps this one here wasn't making a lot of sense, or I wanted a bit of clarity. I might just pull another card to lay on top of it to make a bit of sense. Yes, they're all the same dimensions. They are all standard size. So the deck they're all the same size. Love a good tarot. My Good Omens deck is just a blast to use. Yes, I haven't tried that one yet. I have got a couple of Star Trek cards in here that I've added to it. For me, the Magpie deck works because there's always some cards in a deck that you don't connect with, or there are some that you really connect with. So I pick out the ones I really connect with and add them to the deck. Christine, when I get a deck that awkward to shuffle, I throw them down, pick one from the pile. Yeah, that would probably be a lot easier. There are some very weird ones in here. Look, there's a weird one for you. Weird ass mystical poop. Love tarot. Tarot is it's fun. It's fun. I've had different decks though. I learned with the Thoth deck, which is incredibly brutal. But I think tarot, it's important to connect with the images. Some tarot decks I've bought and thought, oh, this is going to be great. And then I haven't connected with the cards. So they have to speak to you. I'm trying to find a Star Trek card. Yeah, here's another weird one. This one's a card from a children's card game. But it's all got meaning. Emma, am I right in thinking that cards that jump out of the deck are also read because they're trying to get your attention? That's usually how I get the cards out. I will shuffle until 5 of them jump out. Jane, my lovely tarot teacher Alex pulls out practically the whole deck as clarifiers. Reading can go on for ages. I have had readings done like that for me where they've worked through the whole deck, but when my deck is now 140 odd cards, we'd be there for about 3 weeks if I read the whole lot. So I start with 5 and then I tend to add a few afterwards. Where have all the Star Trek ones gone? God, disappeared. Where are they?
Sephora says you need a witch's hat to shake and draw from.
Like the sorting hat.
Yeah.
Cool. Here we are. Here's a Star Trek one. So there's a Star Trek one. Look, there's Data. And he's the devil. So there's all sorts of cards in here. Good question, Julie. What's the difference between tarot and oracle cards? So a traditional tarot deck is 78 cards. They are always the same cards. So you have 21 major arcane cards from the Fool right through his journey. The Magician, the High Priestess, the High Priest, the Lovers, Death, all traditional cards, and every tarot deck will have those cards in some format. And then there will be 4 suits, usually pentacles, sometimes coins, cups, swords, staffs, wands. So 4 suits which connect to the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, water. And there will be ace to 10, and then usually 3 court cards. So the actual format, the structure is exactly the same in every tarot deck. There'll be just different images, different graphics. Oracle cards can be anything. Usually around 48 cards, but some are smaller, some are larger, and they will have all sorts of meanings. There's no set structure to oracle cards. I actually find oracle cards nice to work with for spell working, although I do use tarot as well, but oracle cards for spell working.
I like this one.
Wonder how many people have put Pokemon cards into their deck. Quite a few. You can actually, there are groups on social media where people share their decks. So someone might buy a tarot deck and take 5 of the cards out and keep them, and then they'll swap the other cards for other people. But there's people who've used Pokemon cards, game cards, oracle cards. I've even seen people cutting out the side of tea bag boxes because they've liked the image on it, and they've just cut it to size and included it in their deck. So that's the beauty of the magpie type deck. You can add whatever you want to it, whatever you're drawn to. Emma, still studying my Buffy and the Vampire Slayer deck. I'm going back to the forum, I swear. I thought Law would have been the devil and Data the fool. Actually, you are right. I think that one is Law, Emma, because I think Data is in there again. Yes, that looks more like Law than it does Data. You are correct. Jane, tarot has 4 court cards: page, knight, queen, king. Thank you. Yes, brain not working. Otherwise, the minor arcana can be used like playing cards. Yes, it's the 4 suits, isn't it? And in fact, you can read from a normal deck of cards like you would the tarot or the oracle. Christine, football cards if you want to boot somebody out of your life. I like that idea. Yeah, it's whatever it means to you. It is whatever it means to you. So here's one of the random ones. So this one is Black Moon. It's not a tarot deck card at all. It is a hare coming from the dark into the light. It's going to have meaning, and it'll have slightly different meanings depending on the rest of the reading. Tina, was the very original Divination card deck a normal playing card deck? Yes and no. No one's really very sure. They do think that the origins lie in the normal playing card deck. And it works. You can read from, because you've got the 4 suits, so you can read from it as well. But yeah, it's tarot. It's just tarot. So I'm going to let someone else talk now. What's the difference between Lenormand decks and tarot decks? I've never worked with a Lenormand deck. It's just a different style as far as I am aware. But everything has different meanings and things. If anyone has worked with the Lenormand deck, let me know. Good morning, Louise. Oh, hope the doggy's okay. Black Moon card reminded me of the Tower. Yeah, a little bit. I get it is about coming from the dark into the light. It's also about knowing that it's also about balance. It's also about it depends on the reading and all the other cards around it as well. Obviously, the other cards around a card in a tarot deck will also make a difference to the meaning. But this is, I think, it's about seeing both sides as well. It's also a bit of a warning that just because you're coming from the dark into the light doesn't mean that everything is better. It's about seeing both sides of things as well. But again, it would depend on what the other cards are in the reading. I'm dithering about having a reading for upcoming 60th, but not sure I want to know anymore like I used to. I think there's this kind of idea that any kind of divination is foretelling the future. It's not necessarily that. It can be that, but it's not necessarily that. It is about insight into things. It's about getting guidance. It's about taking a look and in-depth at things, getting answers as well. Debbie, didn't the first tarot decks originate from Italy? Apparently so. Yes, apparently so. Lenormand is more literal. I call it a what? Oh, what you see is what you get. I think it's more like the Thoth deck is like that. It's very brutal. It literally says things like they are. So, but there's lots of different decks, and it's about finding one that works for you. But I'm going to hand over to someone else now, because otherwise I'll fill the whole hour. Heather, would you like to show us your bones?
Well, maybe. So yeah,
Do you want me to add your thing? Hang on. There you go.
yeah, you wouldn't expect me to use anything straightforward.
No.
So yeah, so I have what's
Like
known.
you said, things.
Yeah. So I use something that's known as a bone set. It could be linked back to what our ancestors had, which was twigs, bones, stones, whatever. I tend to try and keep mine as natural as possible for that reason. There have been dice sets and all sorts, haven't there, pulled out of archaeological sites. But definitely there have been bones that have had markings on them, small bones that have had markings on them that they have thought have been some sort of divination or gaming or something set. So a bone set to me is something that, yes, does have bones in, but it also has other natural items. So I'll start with cloth. So I use a cloth because obviously some of the stuff that I have is quite delicate, so I don't want it just landing straight onto something hard. I use a red cloth because to me that brings in the energy of the ancestors, not only mine, but the person that I'm doing the reading for. It links me to earth and past lives, everything like that. I have circles. So the inner circle to me is what's happening now. This next circle is things that are happening, either coming or going a little bit further away. And then I have an outer bit, which again is just things coming and going. And I'll get the coming or going depending on what lands and where it lands. I then have signifiers. So because I work quite closely with deer energy, I have this piece of antler, which is my signifier, which I always connect with at the beginning of a reading and then put to one side. And then I have two smaller pieces that when I'm first meeting the person, the querent, I will choose one of these and just place it in the middle of that inner circle, upright. I then have my bag of goodies. So when you see people do bone readings, they'll either use a bag or they'll use a small bowl. And this is where it'll change a bit because some people throw the whole lot out and do a reading from that. I tend to put my hand in the bag and I say what sticks to my hand. Sounds very odd, but it's basically what it is. I can feel it. They stick to my hand. These are the ones that want to come out, and then I throw them. But I will show you my whole set by just
You've
tipping them
got a
out.
question there, Heather.
Have I?
Yep.
Bones, does the energy from the previous owner help with the yes, very much so. So like I have a deer knee bone, I have a deer toe bone, and I have a deer vertebrae in this set. So the energy from the deer will come through in whatever position they're in. I've then got a fox vertebrae, and I have got a fox tooth, and I've got a fox foot bone. And again, energy of the fox will come through. I've then got two little crow vertebrae that come through. So they're the bones that I have in my bone set. And then I have this little collection of goodies that I'll just move forward again. So these are, so there's a shell, just a seashell that jumped out at me one day at the beach and just said, I want to be in your set. So that's in there. I have a flint arrowhead. I have this stone. Now this, when I saw this stone, it was that way up which was pretty. And I thought, oh, that's a nice stone. And then I turned it over, and it's an eye. I don't know if that's coming out properly, but it's
Yeah.
in the shape of an eye. So yes, very interesting stone, that one. And the same day that I found that one, I found this one, which again, this was the way up it was. And I thought, oh, that's quite an interesting shape. Picked it up, turned it over. Now, to me, that's an island in its various forms. If you remember the old maps and how they used to depict islands. But yeah, so that's that. I then have 2 wish stones. You can see the lines are through. So this one, the line is right the way through, and it's a complete wish stone. And this one, you can see the line. You turn it over and it's actually broken. The stone is broken, but you can still see the wish line coming through. So these, although they're both wish stones, they give different energies. I thought I saw a question.
Yeah, there you go.
Where can you get your bones from? Are they foraged? Did you purchase them somewhere? So the deer and the fox, Rachel found for me. The 2 crow vertebrae I got from Susie Edwards, because she does a lot of animal parts. I have other animal parts that aren't part of my set that are around the house for various reasons. Um, and all of these antler pieces actually came from Susie as well, I think.
Etsy's quite a good place to
Yeah.
look for
They,
bones.
and you can see that whether they're ethically sourced or not,
Yeah.
can't you? So I do also have a small piece of deer antler. Again, this was from Susie. Oh no, this was one I got from you, wasn't it, Rachel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's in there for a different reason than the
That was
bone.
from Etsy. That was from
Yeah.
Etsy.
Now this, so looks like a plain stone till you turn it over, and it's actually a fossil seed head. And then I've got my little hagstone, because obviously you need a little hagstone for little readings. That's not coming out very well in the light, is it? There we go. And then my last piece is a piece of sea glass that I picked up on one of our walks along the beach. And I love this because goodness knows what it was. What does a different type of bone define in the reading from each? It depends. It depends. That's the whole point. You've got the energy of the animal, but it depends on where it lands, what's with it, and what messages you get. Sometimes I get a word that pops into my head. Sometimes I get a little phrase. Sometimes I get a picture. But yeah, they won't always be exactly the same messages. Bought a set of ancient fossilized bones from North Africa online. I cast them all to see what a bit interesting. Yeah, it is interesting. When I first mentioned that I had a bone set or was getting a bone set together, this little collection, by the way, took me some time. It's not something that you have straight away. For me, these were things that I've collected over time and been gifted. So gifted.
It's fluid, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
fluid.
And this set isn't the same set that I had a couple of months ago because things move in and out. So I have my little collection with my
Of
Bridget.
dead things.
So with my Bridget candle, which is a whole different story, so we won't go into that. It came. We found this in Brighton. This little candle holder.
We did.
So I actually have other little bits and pieces here that have been in my set. So I've got more fox teeth. I've got another fox foot bone. I've got a nutmeg. I don't think I ever used that, but that was in there at one stage, and so was a piece of star anise. But they never actually came out in readings, and then I swapped them out for. I think that's the nutmeg and the star anise came out when I got the 2 little pebbles when I found those. The idea is that you have roughly about 15 items. I think at the moment I've got 18 it's better not to have more than 20. I found because otherwise it just gets too complicated, and then they start arguing with each other, and it's just a mess. Yeah, yeah, they do. They argue. So at the moment they're quite happy together. But if you start taking stuff out and putting stuff in, you have to feel whether they're. And once I got to 20, they started niggling at each other, so it went back down. So yeah, at the moment I think I've got about 18 items in here. But yeah, the energy will depend. Oh yeah, the toadstool one. That's the deer foot bone. Um, but yeah, it'll just depend on where they land and what lands with them and the energy that you're feeling with the reading at the time. Fox teeth are similar to shark's teeth. Yep. Good to do with the dog teeth. Yes. Oh, David. Yes. Can you imagine? Because they're your
A
dogs.
dog teeth set. Yeah,
Yeah,
brilliant.
they're your dogs, so your connection with them will be so strong. That would be absolutely brilliant. Going back to what I was saying about, I think it was Jane said about the North Africa. When I first, Rachel bought me, as a joke, a piece of fossilized poop.
Dinosaur poop,
Dinosaur
not any
poop.
other.
Fossilized dinosaur poop.
Because it's what you buy your best friends, isn't it? Fossilized poo.
Which has got a very special place in my cabinet because it is lovely. It just didn't. It didn't matter what I did; it didn't resonate. And the only thing I could put it down to was it wasn't from this country.
Oh yes, I hadn't
Yeah,
thought
because
about
it
that.
was from America, and it didn't matter what I did. I could not get. You know,
Yeah,
I could feel the energy in it, but it didn't want to give me any,
yeah.
and it certainly didn't want to be part of this. And they didn't want it as part of this. But it has got a very special little place where I can see it every time I pick up my car keys.
You can see
So
fossilized
I
poo
think of
and
Rachel
think of
every time I
me.
see my dinosaur poop.
Thank you. I think.
What questions do you ask a reading for your? It depends. If I'm doing it for myself, then obviously it'll be whatever question I've got. If you're doing it for somebody, then it's whatever question they have.
Do you want to show how you cast them, Heather?
Cool. I always blow before I put them back in the bag. That's me just clearing the energies. Although I haven't used them, I've had them out and I've been talking about them.
Debbie says, do the characteristics of each animal and what the animal represents form part of your reading?
Yeah, same as what I said to David. Very much, that will be there. The energy of the animal will come through. Sometimes stronger than others. Okay,
So that's your signifier in the middle.
That's
for
my
the
signifier.
person,
So yeah, I just said just a general reading for us as a group. I've now got my hand in my bag, so you'll hear me rummaging around, and I'm just thinking, just general reading. Oh, okay. So,
Oh,
so the signifier
I
got.
always worry when they go, oh.
So interesting. So everything fell in the middle circle, which is what I'm sort of expecting because we're talking about something that's happening now. Now, the signifier being shifted out like that to me is very indicative of the fact that you start the three of us on one subject and we will go off at tangents. We might eventually weave back onto the original one, but okay, whatever. And the reason I'm saying that is because it got knocked and replaced. Look how that landed.
Right,
Literally where the signifier was. And that's the
right.
deer toe bone, which to me is about forward movement. So yeah, we may have gone off track, but we're still moving forward. And we've got the little crow, but one of the little crow bones right next door, which to me is about sight, not only sight, a vision, but inner sight and getting the bigger picture. So we're answering your questions. So to me, that's signifying, while we're doing this, it's not just we're doing a reading or doing whatever. We're also discussing it with you. We're trying to explain to you what we're up to. And I think this is the sea glass, and goodness knows what that was. but it's so yeah. And again, I think this is all part of the fact that we go off at tangents and discuss numerous other things while we're still, trying to stay on track as much as possible. It may not look exactly as it did originally, but the information's coming in some form or another. And then we've got the little seashell, and it's lying on its front. So when it's upright like that, to me, that's always talking about home. When it's like that, it can mean numerous things. And because of what I'm getting from this central bit, I think it's about us sharing. So it's not just us three, it's actually the whole community of us that are online today. I'm getting that is because it's upside down, that it's open, it's letting itself be out there, if you like. It's not hiding its whole. That didn't sound right. Sorry. Its whole is on full view. So yeah, we're sharing with the wider community. We're sharing what we get up to.
You got some questions there.
Have I?
Yeah.
How would you
How would
start
you
a bone set and begin reading them? It's really fast. So I started by the fact that I collect random stuff, as the girls will fully attest.
Wherever we go, she picks up stones and pebbles and shells.
Stones, pebbles, shells,
And
twigs.
beans.
Yeah, and anything that. So yeah, I am a collector. So I'd been collecting for a long time. I just hadn't realised what they were going to be. So yeah, so start collecting. And if you already have a collection, just sit and meditate and say that you want to start a bone set and see what jumps out. To begin reading, I think you need to decide what this is what I came up with. If you look online, there are all sorts of different variations, a bit like pendulum. So you've got pendulum boards where you've got directions, you've got circles, you've got all sorts of pentagrams. Decide what works best for you. For me, and it's got to be simple, because otherwise I just get too, and with messages coming through, it just get too complicated. So this is what I went with, because to me it made sense.
There's another question there, Heather.
By meditating with them and asking them
It's
originally.
connection, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
connecting to the
it's
energy.
connecting with them. So you start off by building a relationship with them. So yeah, a bit like, I suppose, a bit like with tarot, they have their base meanings, but then it depends on what comes out, how they come out. As I say, it's in using your intuition and listening to those messages, and not thinking, oh no, that's just me, which is hard when you first start doing it, because you do think it's your ego, or at least I did, until I realised that actually I'd get a slap round the head, um, or a poke in the ribs. Those are my two. If I'm really bad, it's a slap round the head. If it's something like get on with it, it's a poke in the ribs. But it's being open to those messages, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
Okay, let's switch to Ness before we run out of time.
Yeah.
But we have got plans to do an online course at some point. At some point, we will. So Ness does the runes.
Hello. I've been fascinated by the runes and working with them in various ways for about 12, 13 years, I think. I had a mad dream that were just runes. Very, very bizarre. I woke up and all I remember was runes. I mentioned this on our forum many years ago, and someone offered to make me a set, which I was very, very pleased with. And over the course I still have that original set, but over the course of the years and how I do my readings, got a bit more confidence. And I now have what you're looking at here. I read the Outer Fithark runes, and I have had cloths, and I can't remember what festival we're at, but we're at a festival, There was a Viking store, and they were selling runes and various
I think
other
that might have been Pagan
Norse.
Tribal. First time we went to Pagan Tribal.
It was, yeah.
Something was there, and it was that one. And they had a casting cloth with a cord, and they were putting the hand in the bag of runes and then just sort of casting that out, and whatever fell within this central bit, they read. Anything that sort of fell without, they sort of disregarded. And I thought, I like that, because I hadn't really had any set way of reading. I just used to sort of draw some out the bag, a few at a time or one at a time. I don't read in any sort of cast, there's not a way like tarot where you can have spreads. This literally just comes out. I will show you because I've got this all there. The casting cloth now, I saw this online and something came to me. I thought, oh wow, this talk with about blood and bones and dead animal parts. This is exactly what this is.
Which is what we're all about, let's be honest.
Yeah. People think
Oh,
we're so
yeah,
sweet and
we
innocent.
love it. It is all to do with the raw and the natural, and yeah, that's how we all roll, and we all love exactly the same. This is actually a piece of hide from a cow. It wasn't from Etsy, good old Etsy, and ethically sourced. And to me, that connects with Old Humbler, who was the first cattle that when you had the fire and the ice and you had the bit in the middle, Gap, I think it is. It's like a weird pronunciation. And from there was the first cow called Old Humbler. And that is the whole story of the Norse creation. So to me, with reading and the Norse, I mean, I wasn't really particularly interested in the Norse when I first started doing the runes. I didn't really know too much about it. I was just fascinated by the shapes on them, and the symbols. They just really drew me in. So, but then I did a rune course with Imelda Almqvist, Room Foundation course over a year, and it was absolutely brilliant. And she brought the Norse and the ancient Norse into the course as well, which I just jumped on, and I've found it fascinating. So I do bring elements of that into my readings. And most of the runes as well have connections to Norse deities. I did have an original cord as well, which was a white one, but I decided we learnt a new craft, didn't we, when we were away? Like we had a little kitchen witch jolly away, and we learnt to do some braiding. And I thought, I know, I'm going to make my own cord, because then that brings in your own energies as well. So I chose 3 colours. Red is sort of for the blood and for the ancestors. Do bring in all that when I'm doing my readings. And occasionally one of my crystal skulls also decides that he would quite like to have a seat at the table as well. So one of those would jump out at me, and I will sort of put that there. I also work with the spirit of crow. So sometimes I have a little set of crow bones that are in a pouch, and that will also sit on here as well. So it's red for the blood and for the ancestors. I've got the light colour, which that sort of ties in with Old Humbler and the ancients there. And brown is for earth. Although I'm a fire sign, I do work a lot with earth. So that's my casting cord. And then I've got my bag of runes, 24 out of Futhark runes. As time went on, you had the younger Futhark, which went down to about 16. But I've always worked with the elder Futhark. I have studied some of the other ones, but I don't. Not at the moment. I don't tend to work with those. So I do the same as Heather. I've got a little bag, and these are a new set of runes. I have had several sets, but this is a new acquirement, and they are lovely. I connect with them really well. And So I do the same thing. I sort of put my hand in. I mean, because I'm never going to get all 24 runes in my hand, so I just sort of tend to shuffle them about. And like Heather, whatever sticks to my hand tends to come out. Sometimes I'll get several, 8 or 9, and if we've got a reading booked, it's pretty difficult to get all that in that space of time. But generally, there is a few, so I'll cast some now. Now I'm going to go
Ooh.
because I have never
Never seen
ever
one
had
stand on his
room.
side.
Never. Normally what falls outside I disregard, but there has been times that I work intuitively with them. So sometimes I think, yes, that needs to come out. Sometimes I look at it and I think, no, that needs to stay there. Although it's outside the cord, it might mean it's very similar that this is what's happening in the here and now. I don't read them upside down either. I don't read runes reversed. I just, it's not something I do. And I also don't work with the blank rune either. I just work with the 24 for dark ones. And I don't read them in any particular order. Sometimes the upright ones I tend to read first, and any that are facing down, I will then draw in afterwards. I think maybe the ones that are upright are the ones that are more prominent, that wants the focus, that wants the attention. And then I just go round and read in no particular order, whichever one is drawn to me first, and whatever comes to me message wise. Which is this? I mean, this one to start with is Iwaz, and that's spelled Ehwaz. There are also some Old Norse words for runes as well, and I will mix them up just depending what comes out at the time. And that is teamwork, forward movement. It's connected to Sleipnir, which is the 8-legged Norse horse. So that is drive, that is forward movement. Sleipnir went from dawn to dusk, pulling a chariot across the sky. And so it is teamwork, getting things done. So that's a good one when you're thinking of a reading generally for everybody sort of getting things done there. This one is Jera, and Jera is of harvest. It's also of cycles as well. You look at it, I tend to get sort of images as well, very similar. Rachel says, I can never understand runes because they're just squiggles. And I sometimes see, yes, I can't do those. But that is also like the waxing and waning moon. There's one going. So that is sort of cycles, things coming into being and things ending. And I won't do that one. That is interesting that's gone on its side. I've never read that before. Totally freaked out by that.
You're going to leave that one to last.
And that is manners. I am, yes, because I can see it, and I don't think you can you?
No.
That one is manners, and manners is mankind. It's community, which was brought up when Heather did hers. So it is everybody within your circle, your support, your sort of network. There is Othala, which is more your home connections, your home support. But Manaz is generally your everybody, within that. That's Iwaz as well, but it's also known as which is that's spelled Eihwaz rather than that one is just EH. And that is connected to the ash tree, the world tree, Yggdrasil. So that's your roots. That again it can be life, death, and rebirth, and strength when you think of the ash tree and all the 9 worlds that it holds within it. And so that is strength. That sort of backbone. So that's how I read it. There are, if you look at runes and you buy runes, they normally come with a sheet with a general meaning on them. But I think it depends. Sometimes in a reading, I may read runes slightly different, like Perthrow. Perthrow is generally to do with fates, things we can't control. But It also can come out in a reading as womb space, needing to retreat to go within to work on yourself. So it depends on the reading, what comes to me at the time that I do the reading. So, and this last one, which is up on its side,
Da, da,
is
da.
lagging. Leggings, and it's emotions going with the flow. It is a water rune. I also like it because to me that looks like the head of a Viking ship when you had the Viking ship with the dragon head on it. So it is all to do emotions going with the flow, just letting letting things be and just going with it. So I like that. It's sort of generally how I sort of read the runes. I say in no particular
You
order, but
have got a
and I will
question.
sometimes go back to them as well.
I can pop that up.
I have a set of runes that was given to me from my mother, and they belonged to someone else previously. How would I cleanse them and imbue my own energy into them? I think cleanse them how you would cleanse crystals or anything else. When I finish doing a reading, I tend to hold any runes that I've used in my hand, just to sort of cleanse them with my own sort of, my body heat and my energies. But you can clean them. When I got these, they were made obviously by somebody else, from Etsy. And the first thing I did was cleanse them with sort of with smoke. So I got an incense blend for cleansing and purifying and general clearing, and I did each individual one. I did the bag to start with, and then they took out each individual one and passed it through the smoke. So you could do that. And to connect them to yourself, I would suggest that you sleep with them, which is something else that I have done with all my sets of runes. To connect with them and with your energies, you can pop them under your pillow. Tend to do it in a bag. You don't really want them loose and waking up and they're all over the bed.
Comfortable.
I mean, you can do if that's what if you want to, but put them under your pillow. I've done things like carry the whole set in my handbag. I've carried them around with me just to connect with them. I did that for about a week or two before I started working with these. I just connected them with myself, and my own energies before I started sort of working with them as readings. So yes, just sort of cleanse them how you would sort of cleanse crystals or anything else, and then just connect with them by keeping them on your person for a
Another
little while.
question for you.
Ah, do you recommend any good books for learning runes? I'm deeply fascinated with them.
I
There,
can I
I've
can add a
had a
little
couple.
bit.
I've got a
Can I
couple
add
of
a
books.
little bit of a secret here? Imelda Ralmqvist, who Ness you did your course with, she has a book on runes coming out next year.
Oh,
Fabulous. I like reading other people's take on runes. Katie, no, Kelly Holmes. She also
Kylie
writes for
Holmes.
Moon Books. She's Kylie. I knew it began with a K. I went to say Katie, and I thought, no, that's not right. She's done a book on the runes. I haven't really. I've have the. Oh, I don't know. I've got it in here. It's called Viking Spirit. That is quite good. There is a section on runes in that. But generally, to start with, I just had the sheet. But then after a while, I just sort of stopped working with that and just used my own intuition as to what they meant to me. And sometimes I say I could read one and people go, that's not what it means. But to me, it does. So, yes, you can get general ideas from books, but I think the best thing is to sort of work with them, is, with your own intuition.
Another question?
Ah, that's interesting. Yes, the Norse runes out of Futhark, and I don't know where the witches' runes originated from. That I don't know. I know
That's
the,
quite a
the
modern
Norse
thing, I
runes
think.
were obviously, yeah. I think perhaps they just wanted to bring in and own a bit. I suppose like there are. similar things, aren't there? You can read them the same. There are symbols on them: star, sun, isn't there?
You can
Scythe,
make your own runes, can't you?
moon,
I've
sort of
made my own
things.
runes with my own symbols on.
Yeah, you can have your own sort of like, yeah, your own casting. I mean, this was known as an ancient alphabet. Alphabet I don't really like to use. I think it was sort of just a form of communication. They were used very much on shields and swords as protection, which I quite like. I think, for protection and for battle, and they're having, and there's stones inscribed with them in Sweden and Norway that you can still see today. Yeah, I just love them. I think I say they're very, very ancient.
I'm
You
putting
know,
this question
this
up.
person, yeah,
I keep prompting Ness
yeah,
to do a course on runes, and I keep prompting Heather to do a course on the Ogham, which Heather
Pardon?
also
What was that?
reads.
What was
Yes,
that?
is the
well,
answer, Tina.
we
There
have
will be.
selectively so that, yeah,
Yeah,
we
there
will.
will be.
I have written there is a branch course on runes which I wrote. That was a few years ago. That is up on the forum for any students.
And
But
it is brilliant.
yes, I
Yes,
mean, there's no
Absolutely
reason
brilliant.
why
Jane
I
is recommending it.
can't do one. I mean, it was. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. Yes, yes, Jane did my course, and I did enjoy writing it. There was a version up there before, but I did say to Rachel, I did that course when I myself was a student, but I felt that some of it didn't resonate with me as time went on. And she said, "Well, have a go, and if you want to write one, go for it." So that's what I did. So there's no reason. Yes, I think we are talking next year about doing lots of
Yes.
different things, courses, and
Yeah, there will be a
that.
lot
And I
more
think
from us online
put them
next
on
year. We're
girls'
planning a
plans.
lot more online courses, so keep an eye out. Question from David.
Yes. Not yet. I say I did learn that some of the Anglo-Saxon runes as part of Imelda's course. We went through the Outer Futhark, and then she brought in the Anglo-Saxon ones. They are quite in your face. It's a bit like the Thoth tarot deck. They don't pull any punches. They just tell you what you should know, and you just got to deal with it, whether you like it or not. I'm not sure I want to be that brutal with people when I do readings, because you have to, when you give readings, you don't want to scare anybody. And I sometimes find that they can be a little sort of brutal with what they tell you. I do have information and notes on them. There may come a time where I think, you know what, I might add one of those just to mix it up a bit. But at the moment, I'm not drawn to adding any. But you never know.
Yes. Interesting. Yes.
Yes,
Now, this is why
that's
we
what.
ended up reading the three of us together for people. I'm fairly certain we share a brain. We do find that in our readings, there's crossovers. As Heather will be saying something, I'll be drawing out cards that echo it, and Ness will say something, and Heather will be drawing out bones that, yeah, I think there's a link, and it works. Right. Oh, they are. Google says the witches' runes were developed in the late 20th century. Yeah, I realised it was a more modern. But you can make your own set of runes. You can make them. I've got flower runes. I've got runes with all sorts of images I've just made myself with images drawn on pebbles. Well, there's a whole other subject there from Jane. Bind runes.
Oh yes, yes, yes. That's exactly it. There is. You can. I mean, I have one here that I did a little workshop that Rick Kiddle did, and I made a bind rune, and that sits on my hell altar, and that is Ansu's for communication with deity, general sort of connection with the divine, and it's also one of my favourite runes, which is Algiz, which is the protection one. But when you do bind runes, you can normally find other runes in there as well. I mean, you've got Kinaz, if you have a look. So when you put bind runes together, you think you're just having two. But you're looking at it, there's a whole lot more. There's also Nordiz as well, with the straight bit and the one across. So yes, there's the bind runes, that all sorts. But yes, you can use those for your magical purposes and for spell work.
How often, frequently can someone do or have a reading? Thoughts? What do you guys think?
If you're having a
I
big,
think
go on, Ness.
no, I was going to say, I think sort of. I don't think too frequently is a good idea.
I'd say not under 3 months and more likely 6 monthly.
Yeah.
Because you've got to give it time to work. And just because it's come up in a reading, because you've had it in a reading, you can do stuff to change it. So
I think that's the important thing to remember, isn't it? Readings are suggested outcomes of things. They are.
And it's only in that moment.
Yes.
Isn't it? It's only in that moment.
And you can do things to change the outcome of things. You know, the web of weird. Fate comes into it all, but chaos comes into it all as well. So, yeah. I think, it's good for insight as well. It is important to remember that it's not just about foretelling the future. They're good for insights. If you've got a particular situation or a question or an issue that you want some insight into, readings.
But that's the big main readings. You can do your own little individual ones every day, just to see what the energy of your day is going to be. Just pull in one pebble, one rune, one card. You could do yourself a 3-card reading a week, but that's just to give you a general insight as to what could be happening in the week ahead.
Yeah.
But the big readings, no, not that frequently.
So we are up on our hour. We didn't even get to Heather's Oem, which Heather reads as well.
We didn't get to your dice.
I did get to my dice. We'll have to do another one. We'll have to do another Waffling Witches. We'll have to do another one because we do mess about with lots of stuff, and obviously we do like dead stuff. There was a question about your reading, Matt Ness, as to whether it was felt. No, it is dead moo cow.
And Maria's hit it on the head. Would you get mixed messages if you had readings too often? Absolutely.
Yeah. Or you'll get the same things coming up again and again and again because you haven't listened to the message. Yeah, done that. Been there. So there will be lots more online courses from us next year. We've got lots of things in the offing planned. We just need time to get them sorted. And we do obviously do triad readings as well. Bit of a plug. Head on over to the Kitchen Witch online shop if you'd like to book an online reading. You can book it face-to-face with us online, or we can just do a recording for you. Yes, Divination Wafflers Part 2, I think we'll have to do. So we will sign off now because we've actually got a reading booked in less than half an hour. So we need to go and make a cup of tea and powder our noses. Thank you, as always, for joining us. If you've got any questions, think of any questions afterwards, do message us. We will be happy to help if we can. Yes, we do love dead things. It's just how we roll. Thank you to the ladies as well. This is Kitchen Witch. Kitchen Witch wouldn't exist without these ladies here. So check out the YouTube channels. Check out the websites for future events. We've got what have we got coming up next? Autumn is the next one. No, summer. Summer workshop. And
5th of July.
Thank you. 5th of July. Free and open to everyone. A couple of hours workshop and a ritual as well. So do join us for that. Otherwise, you're going to have a look now when you're out and about to make your own reading sets. Stone.
Yeah, and when you do, post them so we can see them.
That would be fabulous. Yes, make your own sets, pull things together. Brilliant. So thank you, everyone. Have a fabulous weekend if you're away at a festival. Winnie does want to join in. Yes, she's doing squeaking noise, and now the dog's here as well. Thank you, everyone. Take care, and we will see you all next time.
Have a good day, everyone.